Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. Well, today we're talking about the score dropping for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This is on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes is a review site that a lot of us refer to when we discuss how well a movie is doing or not doing as far as the critics are concerned and as far as the audience is concerned. So Wakanda Forever, for me is a strange movie. I did a video about this a couple of weeks ago. I consider it a broken promise to the fans that they did not recast Black Panther because the movie is about Black Panther. They're going to call it Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but Black Panther isn't the focus of the movie. So it's very disconcerting, even just as a creative person that's created a lot of comic book characters and done a lot of work in the industry. It just doesn't make sense. So it's just inherently wrong to do this. Why this was allowed to happen, I can't really tell you. I've seen interviews with the director, and they were talking about the sadness of the actor Chadwick Boseman. It's horrible. It's horrible that he died such a vital, elegant, powerful young man. But he did die, and if you're going to sell a product, you've got to deliver what the product promises, or it's a broken promise. That's how I look at it. Now, what's interesting about this is you don't get to see audience scores. And critics, they can talk about what they think of the movie, but they've been embargoed from talking about details of the movie. But now you're starting to see some details of the movie come out, and the scores are going down. They started off with a, a 94% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, with more reviews, it's down to, it was 87%. Now it's down to 86%. And you can kind of get a sense of a feeling of an Amazon Prime kind of thing going on here, where there were some divergent views, but we weren't getting a chance to see those disappointed comments. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to get into this article from Cosmic Book News. I'm going to go over the negative reviews. There are certainly plenty of positive reviews. I'll make sure I link in the description below this website for Rotten Tomatoes. You can kind of see there are plenty of positive ones. Look, in fairness, I've seen nothing critical of Black Panther Wakanda Forever except me. I'm sure there are plenty of other people out there criticizing it, but I just really haven't seen much of it. And to me, it just doesn't feel natural. So let's get into this article. Before we do, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up when you like it. You guys have been great. The channel is growing. I really appreciate you sincerely. Okay, Black Panther 2. Rotten Tomatoes score dropping with negative reviews. The movie doesn't appear to be as good as the first one, according to the critics. And this is coming from Cosmic Book News, Matt McGloney's great website. That is a picture of Namor, the new pronunciation for Namor, because they need to change his entire history and take his, canon away from him and turn him into something else, completely for political purposes. Following the earlier reviews giving Black Panther Wakanda Forever a sky-high 94% fresh rating, which they did originally on Rotten Tomatoes, the score has now dropped. With 144 reviews, the Black Panther Wakanda Forever Rotten Tomatoes score is now 86%. I think it's up to 164 reviews. Of course, by the time you check this, there'll probably be more reviews. The score is in line with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and Doctor Strange. So it's not like it's, doing horrendous by the critics' standards. But it is interesting that as the movie is coming closer, you're getting more of these, let's just say, honest reviews that are so honest they seem to be driving down the entire average. That means they're very negative. What the Black Panther Wakanda Forever negative reviews have to say. Regarding the negative reviewers, and this is a good summary, what they have to say. Some of the reviews cite the fact that Chadwick Boseman is missing. Others remark about the nearly 3-hour runtime, because it's like 2 hours and 41 minutes. That's a very long time, especially if you're bringing a young person with you, kids. It's hard for them to sit in place for nearly 3 hours. They have energy. They want to go do stuff. And some say the movie is boring. And unfortunately, the long length is what's going to lead it to seem boring. So you can check out the negative reviews below. We'll read a few of them. It'll be very interesting to see what happens at the box office, especially with the word of mouth. Now I'm saying the same thing as Matt here. The word of mouth is going to be a very big problem for this movie. So they've done good on pre-advanced sales. They've got a lot of promotion going for it. People are excited to see it. They're expecting it's going to be good. However, audience score is what makes this another Black Panther 1 or not. Black Panther 1 did $700 million domestically and totaled out internationally $1.3 billion, I believe. So with help from China was like $100 million of that. and it's not getting a China release this year around for whatever reason. You know, once word of mouth kicks in, if kids are bored and they tell their parents that they're bored, that is not a good thing, because that goes around the mom and dad circle. And I can tell you that kills these things quick. The other thing it kills quick is if it's not a fun rocket ride the first time around, there is no way the kid's going a second time to see that movie. And I also think that if it is boring, you know, and mom takes her children to go see it, and they're bored, and word is around that it's boring, and kids are like, I'm bored, Black Panther wasn't even in it. The next time around, if it's still playing successfully, Black Adam's going to get seen, because it's another superhero movie. But how do you do a superhero movie without the superhero in it? I don't know. Presently, the movie is tracking for $175 million opening. The first one opened to $202 million. You know, there's a lot of anticipation for this. I could certainly see them hitting that number, $175 million domestic, and even more international. That would be great. It would be a good number. But the problem is this. Everything can't just be a smash and grab with Disney. Whereas like the early Star Wars films Disney started doing, a lot of people went to go see them. And then as time went on, people were like, wait a minute, this isn't the Star Wars we expected. And then it got worse, and it got worse over time. Watch for audience score, because as the audience score goes down, if it does go down, and I'm thinking it's going to be like opposite Black Adam. Black Adam had a low critic score, high audience score, low like 38% positive from critics, and 89-90% positive from audience. You'll see a reverse, I think, with Black Panther, but let's see. We can find out, you know, another week or two. A lot of reviews will be in. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, negative reviews. The true prestige Marvel picture, it borders on being less of a film, continuing themes that resonated with the audiences and rather about itself, resulting in artistic tensions both interesting and frustrating. Wakanda Forever, in short, faces the same dilemmas as the previous film, but has lost any poise to combat them. Certainly, the film has its high points, but ultimately it pales in comparison to its predecessor, one of the best entries in the field of superhero cinema, and feels largely like a placeholder for the next movie. You know, this is the problem. If the movie is about Black Panther, then the story has to be his story, not the story of the role of the Black Panther. You can't do that. It has to be an identifiable, relatable character, because the story of the kingdom, you know, the story of the presidency, you can't do that. You have to have a human being that represents that story. It's the character's story, and then you embody that character. You lose yourself with suspension of disbelief. You inject yourself into the main character's role. This is how we write things. That's what makes it relatable. It's not relatable if there's no person to relate to. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, unfortunately, doesn't really come close to its strong predecessor. It imitates it far too much and never really gets going. In the end, the more than 2.5 hours become a real test of patience. This idea that 2.5 hours, I think it's 2 hours and 41 minutes runtime, it's going to be a test of patience. You will be leaving the theater and thinking to yourself, wow, okay, I made it through. But you're not going a second time, even if you like it. Could be wrong, but that's what I think is going to happen. For long stretches, it feels like Wakanda Forever could have been more successful if it had shucked its superhero confines, just trimmed the fat, make it a character political drama set in the MCU. That's what we need, political dramas. And ditch the gloppy CG action. After a hearty start, the film sputters in its second half, dragging through its bloated runtime, 2 hours, 41 minutes, on its way to its at-once overblown and underwhelming finale. The repetitive pattern of identifying a quandary, then whipping up a high-tech answer, I'm sure vibranium is involved, grows maddeningly frivolous, especially over the course of 160 minutes. This might not all be so deflating if Wakanda Forever worked simply as an action spectacle, but very little here pops. A near 3-hour endurance run of gloomy photography and turgidly staged, emotionally empty two-way conversations, all seemingly designed to sap cast and viewers' combined will to live. Now that is a bad review. Combined will to live. That's worse than boring. A dutiful, mirthless movie derailed by real-life loss from which no franchise could feasibly recover. I mean, you just recast them. Ticking boxes isn't the same as pulling magic or even just insight from thin air. The sad reality is that the show must go on, and without Chadwick Boseman, it's just more of the same. Our job is to pretend it's enough. This installment was always going to be more somber thanks to the loss of its star. What the film lacks is the will to make that loss heartbreaking. Though its lugubrious and plotting narrative spins its wheels ahead of someone coming along to fill T'Challa's shoes, Wakanda Forever does stand out for its depictions of grief. Which, if you want grief, this is the movie for you. Wakanda Forever winds up feeling hopelessly stalled, covering up an inability to move on by resorting to repetitive, overfamiliar action sequences, maudlin emotional beats, and an uninvolving, occasionally incoherent story from the Washington Post. It's a sequel that bores me in perpetuity with its abundance of one-dimensional female characters and most of all, bland action that exposes the anthropological side of Marvel without any sense of wonder. Coogler, the director, and his team nearly pull it off, leading to moments of real power and emotion not normally found in superhero films, and yet Marvel's need for a shared universe practically undermines it at every turn, instead of making the shared universe work for you. There's a smaller story about Solace buried somewhere in here, but Phase 4 has no interest in that. As it stands, Wakanda Forever feels lost and forlorn as the Wakandan people. Well, that's depressing. Wakanda Forever proves poignant in two ways. The film is often quite thoughtful in its exploration of grief, but it struggles to overcome what the actor's loss means to the future of the series. So you don't really get a sense of direction. Really, these are the negative reviews. There are people that like this movie. There are positive reviews. You can read one here. Here, let's read one. A Marvel movie for sure, but a pretty interesting one, partly because it's also a Ryan Coogler film with the director's signature interplay of genre touchstones, vivid emotions, and allegorical implications. That seems like he wanted to say something nice. I'm going to tell you something. You're going to see some bad reviews of this movie. The word of mouth is going to be terrible, and I hope it's not. I want all comic book movies to do well. I don't care. Every comic book movie should make $1 billion minimum, but they don't. And this movie, where they try to take this character and just use the character without any respect for the audience to go ahead and recast the character. You can call it Wakanda Forever if you want. You can call it World of Wakanda, but you can't call it Black Panther because there is no Black Panther. You decided not to recast him. It's dishonest. It's not something they should be doing, and they're going to see people brutalize them in audience reviews. That's what I think. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments below. Let me know if you're going to see this movie. Try to encourage me to see the movie. Right now, I'm not so sure. But let me know what you think. Be sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up when you like it. And I will see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.